Hello and welcome to Imagination Productions. So today we will be talking about bloodbending in the Avatar series. Today's video will be broken down into 3 parts. What is bloodbending? How it was discovered? And people who have used it before. Let's start off with what is bloodbending. Bloodbending is a sub-skill of waterbending, only available to those with exceptional waterbending ability. Bloodbending allows you to control all fluids inside of any type of organism. This basically means that they can control the blood in your body. This form of bending is only able to be used during a full moon, except for in a few special cases which I will talk about later. Bloodbending resembles the way of a puppeteer controlling their doll. This is very different from waterbending, as when you bend water, it flows, rather than rigid movements required for bloodbending. Now that you know all these basics, let's get into how it was discovered. The first bloodbender that has ever been discovered was in the Avatar The Last Airbender series. This person was a water tribe woman named Hama. She discovered this technique when imprisoned by the Fire Nation in the beginning of the 100-Year War. After the 100-Year War, bloodbending became more well known and became illegal to use. The way that bloodbending was discovered is a lot intertwined with the story of Hama. So rather than telling the story twice, I'm just going to put her story in with the discovery of bloodbending. So the first person I'm going to talk about is Hama, obviously, and Katara, because their stories are very intertwined. Hama grew up as a waterbender in the South Pole alongside other water tribe people, both bending and non-bending. She lived a normal life, and she learned how to waterbend.
Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
She, along with all the other waterbenders in the tribe, fought for the village, but they were starting to lose the battle. The Fire Nation slowly picked them away, capturing them and taking them as prisoners on their ship. Eventually, she was the last bender there and ultimately lost the fight. She was taken also as a prisoner and brought to the Fire Nation and put into a horrible prison where they would have almost zero access to water. Whenever she needed water just to drink, they would have to chain her feet to the ground and arms suspended in the air to make it impossible to bend the water. One day, when she'd almost given up hope of leaving the prison, she realized that where there was life, there was water. She taught herself to bend blood, starting very easily with elephant rats, and then eventually controlling a guard to let her out of the cell and escape. For many years, she lived just a normal life in the Fire Nation, but many years later, she found a group of kids, Aang, Sokka, Katara, and Toph, around a fire telling ghost stories. She invited them to stay with her for a night and ended up having them stay with her for a while. She realized that Katara was a waterbender and decided to show her a few tricks, like taking water from plants, and eventually, bloodbending. When Hama tried to show her how to bloodbend, Katara refused. Shortly after, Aang and Sokka showed up knowing Hama was evil and trying to stop her. Hama then bloodbent them both to try and convince Katara to use bloodbending to stop her. Katara eventually gave in and used bloodbending to stop Hama from hurting them. Hama was then taken away and probably locked up until she eventually died. This wraps up Hama's story and basically Katara's story of bloodbending as well. Katara vowed to never use bloodbending again and eventually helped to make it illegal to use. The next bloodbender that I will be talking about is Yakone. After the 100-Year War was over, Katara and the United Republic of Nations passed a law making bloodbending illegal to use. Although this happened, a man by the name of Yakone had developed a special ability to bloodbend without aid of a full moon. Using this ability, he tried to rule Republic City from its rotten underbelly. Eventually, he was arrested with multiple charges against him, the main one being the use of bloodbending. When Yakone was tried in front of the United Republic Council, he was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to a life in prison. When he was sentenced, he used another special ability of his, psychic bloodbending, which is a bloodbending with your mind, allowing you to move freely and not need to move certain ways to control them. When he did this, he fled from the Republic Council thinking that he was free. He was shortly stopped by Avatar Aang, who had the ability to take away someone's bending. This ability is something that is very complicated and it has a long history behind it, so I will be covering that in another video, probably coming soon. Now that Aang had used this ability and taken away Yakone's bending, he was powerless and sent to prison to pay for his crimes. His story is very much connected with the final 2 bloodbenders after this point, so the stories will be connected for all 3 of them. After a few years, Yukon escaped prison with the help of his gang. He left Republic City and got plastic surgery to change his appearance. He then headed straight north to the North Pole, where he settled down, got himself a wife, and was a father to 2 sons, Noatak and Tarlok. Although he had lost his waterbending abilities, he was still able to teach his 2 kids to waterbend. While he taught them, he told them about his past and how it was their job to avenge him by killing the Avatar and claiming Republic City. When they were both older, he took them out on trips and secretly taught them bloodbending behind his wife's back. He started them off with animals, but eventually tried to force them to bloodbend each other. When ordered by their father to do this, Noatak refused, and Yukon proceeded to call him weak and threatened his brother if he didn't, and started to advance towards him. Noatak quickly bloodbent him to stop him from hurting Tarlok. When Tarlok refused to run with Noatak away from their father, but stay and help him, Noatak ran on his own. Yukon and Tarlok spent a while looking for him, but ended up believing he perished in a snowstorm. After that, Yukon stopped wanting revenge on the Avatar and lived a normal life. Tarlok eventually moved to Republic City and grew in power in the government. He never used bloodbending again until Korra confronted him one evening. They fought, but eventually Tarlok bloodbent her and locked her in a cabin. He returned to Republic City, leaving Korra in a cabin. When he returned, Tenzin and Chief Beifong found out that Tarlok was a bloodbender and used bloodbending to capture her. They ended up fighting, but once again he used bloodbending skills and fled back to the cabin. Let's take a step back and look at Noatak's life now. After Noatak left his father after he bloodbent him, he continued his bloodbending and decided that he wanted to eradicate all benders and became an equalist. He went under the name Amon and slowly gained power as a non-bender. He did this to try and gain non-benders' trust. He started a revolution in Republic City and made himself known to the city by attacking multiple times, like at a pro-bending match. After his attack on the pro-bending game, he went to Tarlok's secret cabin where he took Korra to. While there, he used his bloodbending to remove Tarlok's bending. This is the first time that anyone other than the Avatar has ever done that. While he was doing this, Korra managed to escape with her bending. He then went to lock up Tarlok and take away Lin Beifong's bending because she wouldn't tell him where Korra was. Next thing he did was capture all the airbenders from Airbender Island and brought them to an equalist rally where he planned to take away their bending. However, before this, Korra and Mako found Tarlok and he told them the entire story, Amon's real name, and that he was a bloodbender. When Amon was about to take away Tenzin's bending, Korra interrupted and fought with Tarlok into a storage room where he took away her bending. When he was about to take away Mako's bending, she finally unlocked her air bending and used it to stop Amon from taking away Mako's bending, and expose Amon for being a bender. When Amon got away, he went to find Tarlok and free him, knowing that he was defeated, and they both fled on a boat. They talked about their childhood, but at the end, Tarlok took one of Amon's lightning gloves and ignited the fuel tank in an explosion, killing both of them.
It will be just like the good old days.
So that is the whole bloodbending history. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be coming out with some more Avatar content soon. Let me know who your favorite bloodbender is in the comments, and if I missed anything important of their bloodbending abilities. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.